Hello and good morning. Welcome to another episode of Cloud Chats. It is August 26th, 2021. This is episode 6 titled Deno Compatibility, a Decade of Bootstrap, and Inside DigitalOcean Tutorials. I'm your host, Mason Egger, and that is Matt, Kim, and our special guest below me, Brian.
Yay.
Say hello, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Good morning.
We have some nice number things going on. It's August 26th, 2021, and it's our 26th episode.
We had another time when we did episode 13. It was also like that. It's like these are weird things that I remember because it was cool. So yes, so let's go ahead and get started with our Hello World question this morning. Good morning, everyone. And the question for the day is, what non-coding skill do you want to learn next? We've talked a lot about what new programming languages do you want to learn coming up, but we're going to talk about non-coding skills today. Could be still job related, but it could also be life related. Could be adulting related. Well, that's always fun.
Oh.
Yeah. So let's start off with Kim. Kim, what new skill do you want to learn?
So I've gotten into mountain biking the last year or so, and part of that has been taking skills clinics, so I know how to ride the bike properly. And I think the next skill that I'm working on is going off drops. And so mountain bikes now are really advanced, and they have these dropper posts where you can put your seat down, and you can when you're going over a drop, you can push the bike way in front of you and lean way back so that your weight's on the back wheel instead of over the front wheel, so you don't go over. But I am a very cautious person, and so going over drops is really scary for me. So it's less about the technical part of the what I'm doing with my body and my bike, and more about okay, I know I can do this. I know my bike can handle it. I've done this. So I guess courage on my mountain bike is my skill that I'm working on.
I like that.
Yeah. Let's go with Mason. What's the next non-coding skill you want to learn?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I recently moved into a new house, and there's lots of fun things. So just, learning just how to properly take care of a house and all of the things that come with that. And then also the fun things. I want to get some woodworking equipment and start building stuff in my garage now that I have a decent sized garage where I have the ability to do that. So definitely looking to, there's lots of tech skills that I'm learning, but definitely also looking forward to learning some non-tech related things like woodworking, and I have to figure out why my trees look funny. They don't look the healthiest. I'm kind of upset with them. So
doesn't look right.
Well, I talked with my dad about it. We have some ideas. I think that they're just not properly taken care of. And they planted 2 live oak trees way too close to each other. One looks really good. The other looks really sickly because you can't plant live oaks too close to each other. Not enough nutrients in the soil. So gonna have to figure that one out. Brian, what are you gonna learn?
So it's time that I learned to solder.
I
don't know. I haven't really done it. I did it a long time ago with jewelry stuff, but I have never done it with electronics and whatnot. And I did get my my amateur radio license a couple of years ago, and now that all my other stuff is taken care of, I can finally start building some antennas and whatnot. That's going to require me to learn how to solder. So that's where I'm going next.
Brian's you are my hobbies hero. You're a musician and amateur radio operator, and I aspire to. Well, I have a degree in music. I used to be a musician. I'd love to get back into it, but
same.
Mason and Kim is awesome.
Yeah, it's Kim and I bonded over that during her interview process, so that we both were music education majors.
That's right. Matt, what is the non-coding skill you want to learn?
I don't really know. I guess I'm gonna kind of cheat here, and I'm getting back into theatre again.
Oh, cool!
Oh, I miss that so much.
Which is one really exciting. I got a call last week from an old friend asking me to come back and work on a production of In the Heights.
Ooh,
so that's
nice.
happening next couple of weeks. I'm just super jazzed about that. I guess going down that train of thought, I really want to get more in. I want to learn more about fly operating in theatres, because I've very much been doing electrics my entire time in theatre, and so I'm familiar with the stage aspect of it, but would really like to get into like fly operating. Because that's just a whole new game, really.
What is the fly in the theater? I don't know.
So anything that's in the sky, basically. So
like
of your set
hoisting
will be
people up.
flying. Yeah, so all your set generally flies, other than stuff that's tracked and automated.
Cool.
And also, if you happen to have any actors that fly during the show, that's even more stressful than flying an inanimate object.
I'm sure.
Oh, that sounds like fun. I did theater in high school, and I really miss it. And if I ever get time one day, I will go back and maybe do like community theater or something. But
can we say hey to the people in chat? I think Brian may have brought us some new viewers, and we've got some good answers to this question.
Yeah, let's see what they're saying.
Let's see.
I do see somebody says they have they are a ham radio operator. So
yeah,
73 is there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, we see that from Absinthe is also a ham operator. And also, fun little thing, if you look at the icon, we're live on Twitch today.
Oh,
so
yeah!
welcome all of our Twitch friends. It's been a long time coming, and we're super happy to be here with you. So yeah, ham radio. I have a lot of friends that are in ham radio. Absinthe also said that he's working with microcontrollers and Internet of Things devices. Lovekesh says CI/CD because it doesn't come under programming. That's fine. I'll let people go with that if that's what they want to go with.
It's such a mysterious concept to people that haven't done it before, so I'm totally with that.
Yeah,
it is. You're like, robots push my code. Yeah. Deployment best practices. That's always a good one. Samantha says
YAML engineer.
Yes, chief YAML operating officer. Samantha says the water start ski and windsurfing, usually wind to get back into sailing position after I fall into the water. Ooh, okay.
That sounds really challenging.
Samantha always has the fun things. So
that's true. Let's see. I want to call out Christina.
Go ahead.
Sorry to one of Brian's friends, Christina. Welcome. We're glad to have you.
Oh, Christina is also one of our navigators.
Awesome.
Yes. So welcome. If you are unaware, DigitalOcean has a community developer relations program called Navigators, and you can find it, I think, at do.co/navigators. It's pretty neat. I like this one, and I feel like Matt should take a note out of this one's book. Not to overthink.
That's for sure. Rogue X presence. I like that.
Life is about overthinking. If you don't overthink, you're not doing it right.
I also like Dong Fan. Had to have a girlfriend to be in a relationship. I can appreciate that. It's a skill to be in a healthy relationship, so we can work on that.
A bit earlier in chat, we had Josh who said, "Learn to fly." It's a bit more out there as a skill to learn, but
I wonder if Josh means like operate an airplane or like with your wings.
No, he's just gonna flap his hands really fast, like, and just take off, like.
Right, exactly.
Get one of those squirrel suits.
We have a jokester here. How to exit Vim? Definitely a life skill that everyone needs to know.
Yeah, I can teach you like 4 different ways too. So,
Brian,
I am good at getting
none of those involve pulling the power from the computer either.
That's a good start. Yeah.
Brian says, "Other Brian."
Brian, welcome.
So Brian, how many Brians are there in the Council of Brians?
I think there are 7. I think, and it's nice when we have like we have like a failover Brian in a meeting. That's always good. When we have multiple Brians, when we have multiple Brians in a meeting, we have highly available Brians. That's.
Oh man.
Brian asks, have we talked about Deno yet? Nope, that's coming up real shortly. Christina, restart VC if you want to get out of him. Christina says that they are learning to embroider, and then on the flip side, learning calisthenics. Finally can do a push-up.
That's great. Push-ups are no joke.
It's on my list of things to do. So I really need to do that. I've been trying to wake up early in the morning to like start doing exercise before work, and that alarm goes off and I'm like, nope. And I go right back to sleep.
You know, Mason, I'll send you a text in the morning because I'm on week 4 of not missing a day of getting up at 6 a.m. in the morning and running for a half hour.
So I've
a.m.
gotten up at 6 a.m. the last 3 days, and I look at my clock and I'm like I could get up, and then I'm like, but I don't want to. And I go right back to sleep.
I could call you on the treadmill, Mason. Get up.
I'm fine.
Let's go.
I'm fine, Brian. I don't need that. That's for sure.
All right.
I enjoy getting up at midday.
I'm more of a Matt style, like
welcome to the life of getting old, where once you get past like 25, sleeping in past 9 is impossible.
Well, throw kids into the mix.
Oh boy, yeah.
Then it doesn't matter. There's no rules anymore. I too remember the long, wistful days of being able to sleep till noon.
A long time ago. Well, I almost clicked the wrong button. So let's go ahead and move into, because we don't go into Newsflash yet. We're going to talk with Brian Hogan. So if you've been watching, you've seen that we have a special guest this week, and it is Brian Hogan, a dear friend of ours, who is the manager of the editorial team at DigitalOcean. If you've ever used a DigitalOcean tutorial, you have interfaced with his team, because his team ensures that our tutorials that you love so much are accurate and simple to follow through working with external authors and write for donations. So, Brian, the first question is always, who are you and why are you here? How did you get into my house?
How did I get into your house? I broke in. I don't know. I was invited, so like a vampire.
Yay! That always works.
Yeah. So who am I? I'm a software developer, educator, content expert, I guess. I don't know. I like to work with technical content. I've taught in higher education. I've built some pretty fun software systems in the past, and one of my passions is just helping people level up and get better at stuff. And we have these tutorials at DigitalOcean, and now Mason, you kind of gave my team credit for making sure all those tutorials work. But we partner with a team of in-house writers. Some of them are here in our chat, and we all work together to make sure that those tutorials that everyone reads work. And we test every one of them that we produce, whether it comes from an in-house or whether it comes from an external author. And that's one of the reasons why I think people love them so much. And my team is responsible for working with folks in the community who, through our Write for Donations program, have some knowledge they want to share with the rest of the community. And so they can submit a proposal to us, and we'll if we think it's a good fit, we'll work with them and publish it, and then we'll pay them out for their effort, and we'll make a matching donation to a tech-focused charity that they can choose from a list of charitable organizations that we work with.
I just love that, right? Not only are we putting out content to help others level up, but we're also just making donations at the same time, because why not?
I agree. The other day I was preparing for a tech talk that I gave, and I was like, I need some help about how to generate universally unique IDs. And I searched, and a DigitalOcean tutorial came up, and I was like, perfect. All right. So I'm still using DigitalOcean tutorials, even though I work at DigitalOcean now.
I use them more now, because I know where they're at. I know where they're all hiding. But I mean, even before I worked at DigitalOcean, I always, if I was doing something, because I was an SRE in the past, I would type my question and then I would put space DigitalOcean at the end, because I know that they will be accurate. I don't because the part about content online is there's a lot of content, but you never know if that one's going to be accurate, if it's going to be worth my time. But when I go to the DigitalOcean tutorials, they always work. I've never come across one that hasn't worked. I
mean, that's sort of our biggest concern when we're thinking about creating this content. We're thinking about advocating for that reader. We've all been the developer who's been halfway through a tutorial and realizes that there was a missing step, or there was something that no longer works anymore, and we don't want to have that happen. And we're keenly aware that as time marches on, things get deprecated, frameworks change, and all that. And so we rely on feedback from our readers to let us know when content needs to be refreshed. And sometimes we'll get ahead of the game too. We'll refresh our content too, because we're thinking about the readers first. We want the reader to have a great experience, and we want them to be successful with whatever it is they're trying to solve. Because the reality is, you've got a million things you want to do if you're a software developer, and one of those things is leave and go home and do the other things that fulfill your life. And part of the day is going to be, how do I solve this particular problem that I'm stuck on? And you come to DigitalOcean Tutorial, you'll find that answer, and we're very proud of that. We're very proud that we can help people do that.
Yeah, and I love the like last validated on. So even if it's an article or a tutorial that was published several years ago, if it says last checked on, you know, something 2021, I'm like, oh, cool, okay.
Yeah, every now and then I definitely go through and revalidate my tutorials because I'm like, oh no, I want this one to be up near the top again, and it needs to make sure. And more often than not, I very rarely do I ever come across any that I've done that have needed to be tweaked. Their Linux content and networking content and stuff doesn't move as quickly as, say, JavaScript content.
Right.
That's one of the reasons why I like writing for it so much.
Right. Yeah. The stuff in the developer space, does change quite a bit. But you know, if you get to spend time writing a tutorial on, you know, let's say all the different options on the cat command, it's probably a longer tail.
Fairly stable.
It's fairly stable. Your biggest concerns are, is it BSD or is it GNU?
So for the Write for DO program, do you all just take proposals, or do you have topics that you're looking for proposals on?
So
can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So what we do currently is we have an idea of some topics that are of relevance to our community and are aligned with what people in the community should know how to do, or need to know how to do, or are interested in knowing how to do. And so each month we rotate out a couple topics. So right now I think our topics are about containers and databases. And so you know, folks can pitch us stuff throughout the month of August on those two topics, and then we will look at what's there at the end of the month, sort of like how you'd pitch talks to a conference. We ask, we don't want people coming to us with a full article, because we don't want to waste their time. Like if they spend a whole much time writing a whole article and then we say, well, no, we can't publish that, you know, that's kind of like, well, that feels bad. Like everybody feels bad in that situation. So what we try to do through the Write for DO program is say, can you give us like the outline of what you're thinking of doing? Like think through the outline for it, and that gives us enough to start a discussion internally on, is this a good fit for us? And then if it is a good fit, you know, a lot of times the answer isn't necessarily no. A lot of times the answer is yeah, or let's take this in a different direction. And that's why, you know, having the outline there is a good discussion starting point for people. And so, you know, each month we'll rotate out the topics, and we're about to rotate the topics out because we're coming up to the end of the month already, and we'll have some fun and interesting new topics next month for folks.
Can you share any spoilers on what those topics might be?
Cannot. You'll have to peek in at the beginning of the month.
Where do you so if I'm someone who's watching this right now and I'm like, ooh, I want to know, like, where do I go to find those topics?
You go to do.co/W4DO. That's the
Right,
number,
for
that's the number 4.
donations.
Yep, that's the number 4. So Write for donations.
I'll type it in because I know all of our people are all racing to type it in, but I got it first.
There you go.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. Okay, Brian, can you tell us what makes a good tutorial? Like, what do you look for whenever you're editing a tutorial?
You know, the first thing that is really important is the motivation behind it. Like, what am I going to accomplish? What am I going to be able to do that I couldn't do before? Like, that needs to be front and center. We know about how adults learn. Adults learn because they're motivated to solve problems. And so if we can connect things to their prior experiences, that's even more helpful. But if you remember, people are coming because they got something to do. They have a problem to solve. And so what we typically see are folks that are relatively new writers. They'll spend a lot of time in their introductions to tutorial evangelizing the technology. This framework is awesome because it does this, 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 and this. But by the time someone has come to your tutorial, they already understand that it's awesome and great. They want to do something with it. They want to, you know, solve a problem with it. So setting the stage is one of the most important things you can do when you're teaching anybody anything. Set the stage for learning. We call it in education preparing the learning environment. So in a tutorial, that looks like, here's the problem you're going to have. Here's exactly how you're going to solve it. We're going to literally tell you in this introduction what we're going to do and how you're going to solve it. And when you're done, this is the new skill you'll have. And it's less about when you're done, you'll learn this thing. It's more about that motivation of, we're going to remove the words learn to or learn how to, and we're going to say, you're going to do this. You're going to have this infrastructure in place. That's like the most important thing, because that engages someone and it makes them feel like, okay, I'm ready to dive in and get this done. And then beyond that, one of the other things that we look for very specifically when we're editing a tutorial is large code blocks without explanations become problems for people who are trying to figure out whether they should adopt this code into their code base. In a small sense, yes, copying and pasting code. Let's not fool ourselves. Lots of people do that when they're solving problems. But the reality is that you own that code. Whether you copied it from Stack Overflow or you copied it from our tutorials, you own that code. It is now part of your project and is now your responsibility to maintain it in future revisions. So if that code is in there, it's helpful if you understand what it's doing. So when we do our tutorials, we try to encourage our authors who write with us to kind of tease out those explanations. Not just what does this code do, but why did you choose this approach to it? It's sort of like when you go to Stack Overflow and you look at the answers, and there's this one answer that has the check mark that's accepted. But if you scroll down a little ways, there might be one with a lot more upvotes and a better explanation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, see, because now you have to pick which one is the one that you want to bring into your project. So those are the kinds of things we look for, is like that reader motivation, setting the stage for learning, and then not just what to do, but why this way, why this approach. Those are the kinds of things we try to tease out with people who write with us.
So understanding sort of your audience and what their motivation is going to be when they arrive at this tutorial, setting the stage for learning, and then like clear and concise descriptions of the steps you need to take technically to achieve your goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that. I really like that approach, actually. Just like the really simple, clear and concise, this is what's happening. Like no smoke and mirrors, just this is happening. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah. And if I think back to all the times I've arrived at a DigitalOcean tutorial, I'm a little stressed. It's like, I don't know how to do this thing.
Yeah. It's important to put that in them, because there are sort of two mindsets that people envision. Like, I'm going to write this tutorial because I am excited about this thing and I want to share my excitement for this thing with other people. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic, and we love that. That really helps, because it comes across so much in your writing that you're engaged and excited about it. Mm-hmm. If you're excited about a topic, the readers are going to be excited about your topic. So the next stage is then, what is the hook that gets someone as excited as you are? What are their needs? Find that intersection between your excitement and their needs. And if you can tie into that, you have an engaging piece of content that readers are going to respond very well to, and they're going to get their thing done, and they're going to love you for it. They're going to remember that you're the writer that helped them get that problem done. We've seen that before. We've seen people who write about stuff on our platform, and people just read their stuff because, oh, I know that author. They're a repeat author. I like their content. We've seen cases like that. You can build an audience. Turns out people will read your stuff if you connect with them. Even if they don't have much interest in this stuff, they'll connect with it, and they'll connect with you as the writer. So it's a pretty interesting thing that we see every once in a while.
Yeah, that makes sense. You develop some sort of relationship with the author, and you will probably never meet them in person, but that makes sense.
Great. Anything else you want to talk about, Brian? I know you like the beeps and boops.
The beeps and boops. We got a bunch of folks here at DigitalOcean that make music, and I'm one of them, and I spend a little bit of time after work every day just working on some compositions and whatnot. But it's that you can't shake that music background for me. I never went to college for it, but I've been playing musical instruments. I've been playing piano since I was in second grade, and those who can figure out how old I am can know how long that is, and the rest of you keep guessing. But that's a long time, but it's something I've always enjoyed and never given up. And from the time I was in middle school to I've been composing stuff for different things, and it's just a good release, because there's so many things that are similar between code and writing and music. There's so many patterns that are similar. There's so many things that all of them are creative processes, whether you're writing code or whether you're writing words or creating content, creating music. They all really work well together, and it's fun to be able to kind of shift from the logical part of coding into the more creative part of music, sometimes it even breaks a mental block.
Mhm.
I'm really stuck on this thing. Shoot, I'm going to go play guitar for a little bit. Go sit outside, play guitar for a little bit, and then I'll come back in. I got it. Let's go. Let's get it done.
Definitely helps. I always used to say that I needed both music and tech in my life. It's why I got 2 degrees, one in each. I'm not scarred. I'm not scarred at all. Okay.
Well, Brian, thanks for being here, and you're going to stick around and be our co-host now, right?
That's right. We're going to hang
At
out
least
and
for
have some fun.
this episode. Super.
So let's move into the news. It is time for News Flash, and we seem to have a lot of people that are interested in Deno today, so it's going to be fun to talk about that. But this is the section where we talk about the latest things in tech news. Whatever comes up, hopefully good stuff. Sometimes it's okay stuff. Whenever you hear our fun little laser sound, this one means we're moving on to the next episode. So our first one is all the fun little dinosaur that everybody's talking about in chat today. So Deno is now included in the MDN compatibility data. The compatibility, that was a hard word. Compatibility tables at the bottom of MDN pages now include Deno. Is it Deno or Dino?
I don't know. Chat. Is it Deno or Dino? Someone tell me.
Okay. Dino in my mind is the dinosaur from the Flintstones, and that was spelled D-I-N-O. So
Well,
we go with that.
I know.
Whatever,
Yes,
Matt.
yeah,
I don't have time for you, Matt. Include Deno in a new server category alongside existing browser compatibility data. So Matt, show us what we got.
Well, as I said, Kim's got it up here. I mean, like this screenshot is pretty much it. Anyone that's ever looked at MDN docs for pretty much anything in the web space will recognize tables like this at the bottom of the pages. And historically, right, this has always had all the browsers in it, the MDN tracks. And now on the far right-hand side, there's a whole new category that's just Deno. And not only is this in the tables, obviously, it's because it's being tracked by MDN now. The raw data is also available if you want it for testing purposes or whatever else. So now you can see how truly compatible Deno is with the standard web APIs, which kind of is one of the core things that Deno says they do differently from Node.
Very cool.
Cool.
Wow, that MDN repository of data is super cool.
Yeah, it's just data.
Just
lots and lots
data.
of data.
Chat says it's Dino, so I guess we're going to have to go with Dino, but I don't
Cool.
know.
I'll go with
Cool.
Dino.
I don't have a horse in this race regardless. Like I'm
I
not a
will say-
JavaScript developer.
This little mascot goes in the pantheon of cute tech mascots. This
Oh,
little
heck yeah.
Dinosaur.
Yeah.
So I'm into
Heck
it. All right, shall we? Oh, I'm waiting for the noise.
Pew! Sometimes I just make the noise. Bootstrap is 10 years old. And now I feel old because I was using Bootstrap. 10 years ago on August 19th, Bootstrap published their first release of the library. Since then, they've received over 394 million downloads on NPM and are used more than 22% of websites on the internet. And as soon as you see a Bootstrap website, you know that it's Bootstrap. It's that iconic. Like you see it and you're like, that's Bootstrap.
You can't. I don't know. It's just like it's a curse of using Bootstrap, right? You can't hide that it's not Bootstrap.
Yep. But I remember when it came out, like it made me feel like a web developer, even though I wasn't, because I could have something that looked moderately not awful. Because I don't remember what was around at the time. Like Bootstrap was kind of revolutionary, wasn't it?
There were a few smaller things that were trying to pick up speed to solve the basic problem of floats and clears. We didn't have Flex yet, and we didn't have CSS Grid yet. And I was teaching web development at that time and doing web development at the time. I was still in my software development job at that point, so I hadn't moved fully into teaching yet. And yeah, it was. There were things that were just obnoxiously hard to do. Like if you knew the patterns and you've been doing CSS for the first 10 years of CSS, you knew the patterns, but it was we have to come up with a better way to do this. And Bootstrap offered a way to sort of level the playing field for people. So it was a kind of a big game changer. And it's interesting. There's a little bit of, I always look at a parallel like jQuery, where jQuery solved a lot of problems for people in terms of cross-browser compatibility issues and things like that. And over its lifespan, browsers got better and new specs came in, and people needed to rely on it less and less. And Bootstrap's kind of in that same space now, where it still offers a lot of acceleration, but now that CSS Grid and Flexbox are here, there's a lot of this that you can do with a minimal amount of code. And so, you see people shifting away and looking into their solutions, but it's always going to have a special place in my heart just because I knew how to do a lot of this stuff, but I didn't want to. It was like boring and repetitive. And I love accelerators. Like, I don't look at Bootstrap or jQuery, a lot of these things as shortcuts, really. I look at them as accelerators. Like, if you really know what you're doing, then adding a tool like this to your tool belt will make you even faster, make you even better.
That definitely makes sense, because I remember struggling with web development, because I would have built my first Bootstrap website probably 2012-ish, honestly. Like, I was working at the university, and every lab instructor had a lab website where they hosted all of their lab materials, and I didn't really like any of the basic themes. I was trying to figure it out. And then, like, we were also developing some web app tools internally, and Bootstrap, we found out about it, we just used it. But that would have been 2012, 2013. So that was pretty early on. And, like, if you go back to my website in the archive.org, you will see iterations of old Bootstrap sites. I don't do it anymore because I've gotten away from it, and because I kind of want to learn other things, but I don't do web development. But I will have to look into it for sure. Like, see, I've had so many people recommend to me CSS Grid, as a replacement for Bootstrap. So
it gets you the layout. It gets you some of the layout stuff. Now, my favorite thing, I've written a couple of articles on Dev2 about this, combining CSS and combining CSS Grid with Flex. So, like, using CSS Grid for the layout, and then using Flex for, like, your nav bar and tables and, like, image galleries and things like that. Combining those two together gives you a lot of these things. But what it still doesn't give you, that Bootstrap does, is consistency with UI elements. It is like Tailwind has the same kind of things where I need my buttons. I need a primary button and a secondary button, and I need all the states to be taken care of for me. And it is kind of nice if you're doing an application dashboard or UI that, I can add a class and this table is styled nicely. I can add a class and these buttons all look the same. Yeah. They all have to have the right padding. So you can do a lot with the layout and positioning of elements without Bootstrap. But these libraries really do accelerate your ability to build user interfaces at a deeper level.
I think also specifically with Bootstrap, because it's been around for so long, it's almost become the pattern people expect. Like, if I see a Bootstrap button, I generally know kind of what its intent is going to do.
Yeah. Like, I think a lot of people do take that for granted. Like, they do take consistency of UI for granted across the board. And there are things that you do when you're developing user interfaces that you just do them because this is what people expect.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm learning so much today. But we're going to move on to our next one, which is out of the land of cute little gophers. Golang.org is merging into Go.dev. Over the next couple of months, Golang.org sites will merge into a single coherent web presence on Go.dev. You may have already started to notice that links to the package reference docs for the standard library on golang.org/pkg now redirect to their equivalents. I cannot talk today. On pkg.go.dev. It's because I have to say stuff like that, which is a better experience today and will continue to improve. As the next step, the Go blog has moved to go.dev/blog, starting with the post you are reading right now. Well, we're not reading. Worked out perfectly.
You're reading some notes, but
I am reading a copy pasta straight from that blog into the thing.
The rest of us are reading the blog post.
Good. I'm glad good. Then you know what? It worked out perfectly. Had we not talked about it, it would have seemed amazingly brilliant. Which is not what we are on this show. So, moving to go.dev. I kind of like that. I like the .dev TLD. I paid a lot for mine. I had to.
I like it other than the cost.
Yes. Yeah. Well, some people get theirs for super cheap, but I got into a bidding war over mine.
Is it masonegger.dev?
No, not even that. It's mason.dev. I have masonegger.com, but I have mason.dev, and I got into a bidding war, and I paid dearly for it, but I got it and it's mine. Nice. It's mine forever. And every year when the renewal comes up, it goes slowly down in price because they realize they can't charge me that much for it anymore. Yeah. My only thing I don't like about it is I wish I would have had it years ago, because my email is at masonegger.com and I don't want to change that because I've been using it for so long. That's where everyone knows where to go. I would love to deprecate masonegger.com, But as long as I need my personal email, I really can't. Or I could set up some forwarding rules, but I'm lazy.
Yeah.
So
the lazy part resonates with me.
yeah, it works, and it's worked forever, and I haven't had to touch it. Like, I just pay Google $6 a month, and they keep it running. So I'm like, good. Go with
You
that.
raise a valid point though. Like, deprecating an email address is one of the more challenging tasks in life.
Yes, I know, and that's why I'm avoiding it, and that's why everything's mason.dev, but at masonegger.com is how you email me. So
the only thing that is like that is slightly easier than that, really, I guess, just is moving, like physically moving, changing your address everywhere, remembering all the places that have your address, but remembering all the places that have your email, and then forgetting that one that's really important, and then discovering that two years after your email is shut down. Yeah, that's a problem.
Sounds like a problem maybe you've encountered, Brian.
No, never. That's because I have 15 email addresses and I'm paranoid because I've never removed them.
Yeah, I have a lot of email addresses forwarding to each other. Like, there's a lot of that sort of.
There's a lot of that going on.
I honestly might do that. I might this might be the thing that I need to make me finally make that push, and then just wreck, because I don't like, it's not like I don't need any more stress in my life. So our next one comes out of the land of absolutely awesome things that WASM is continuing to provide for us, which is FFmpeg, or however I don't know how we say it again, but it is now completely in WASM, and you can use it for all of your video, audio recording, converting. That is absolutely fantastic. I think that's the coolest thing. I never really understood what FFmpeg was, and then one day I think I was in a meeting and someone's like, "Oh, you can make GIFs with it," and I took the time to sit down and learn it, and now I was like, "This is the most powerful tool I've ever experienced."
Yeah.
Very cool.
It is.
Huh. All
Yeah,
right.
like, as you can see here, it's got H.264 and H.265 codecs just supported immediately, which is amazing.
Yeah. I remember always having to. So, does anyone else remember the old days when before VLC was really popular and you had to try to watch videos on like Windows XP and you had to download codecs, and FFmpeg always popped up? Like, I remember seeing it whenever I was like 10 or 11 and I had no idea what it was, but I was like, yeah, install everything. We don't care about viruses. So it's been in my life forever, but I didn't realize it was I always thought it was a codec pack. That's all I thought it was until I realized it's actually a very powerful video editing tool.
My heart is racing hearing that you were 11. That was
Oh, if I make you feel young, we make fun of Matt for being young on this. So if you're worried about my age, let me introduce you to Matt. So, because Matt will make you feel really old. Matt's one of the people that's not affected by having a 1 at the beginning of their birth year.
Very true.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Tough
Our next story comes out of the land of, I guess, because I can.
Why not?
Why not? Pi has been calculated to 62.8 trillion digits with a pair of 32 core AMD EPYC chips, 1 terabyte of RAM, and 510 terabytes of disk space. Switzerland's University of Applied Science at Graubünden, I guess that's how you would say that, has challenged the world record for calculating pi, claiming it is computed over 62.8 trillion digits. The university claimed it broke the record, asserting it beat the previous record of 50 trillion digits set by Timothy Mulliken last year by 12.8 trillion digits, and completed the task in over just 108 days versus Mulliken's 303. So 108 days to compute 62.8 trillion digits.
That's also like a significant jump since
it
the
is
last record.
It is.
It's
a third of the time and added almost a quarter of the compute.
So is this is this a hardware flex? Like, why are you like?
Yes.
What is it in computing
just a
that's
big
like,
flex.
this is great?
I think the flex here is the AMD EPYC chips, because like, AMD used to be considered, not the greatest. Like, I remember building gaming PCs and being in college and stuff, and AMD was like, you would get it and it would melt and it wasn't that great and stuff. But AMD really has been coming into its own. We're seeing that, and like, this is just more and more that AMD's on the rise, and these new chips are to be contended with, because if I recall correctly, well, these are 32 core chips. AMD chips have more CPU cores. Like Intel chips, I think at max go up. I mean, you can get some bigger ones, but like AMD just because they use a completely different architecture. So I think it's a hardware flex, but it's also a kind of like AMD, like look at AMD Go kind of thing.
Yeah.
Toon Army Captain has a good question. I think there's some answers in the article, but how do you even verify that that number of digits has been calculated without?
Don't really. Well, you can count the number of digits that are there to confirm the number, but like you can't really verify that they are pi, other than just the fact we know how to calculate pi, and so we trust the equation works.
You could verify the first 50 trillion digits by comparing it to the last record.
Yes.
Oh.
Those last 12.8 are not verifiable, but
you just have to trust that they're correct, and assuming the equation being used is correct. Well, yeah, just take that they are.
It's interesting though, because it's like, what if there was a hardware fault and one of the digits got miscalculated? Well, I guess because eventually, like, I guess the fact that nothing ever repeated, it potentially, if there was an incorrect number because of some sort of hardware fault, it could lead to a repetition, and that would be an even bigger story. Pi repeats. But I guess because we got 62.8 trillion digits, how do you even get that far without any sort of discernible pattern? That just seems that's all it is. It's magic.
You know,
that's how I chalk up. I thought chalk up. It's magic. And my first thought when I looked at this was, did AMD sponsor this?
Yeah. Well, they're a university, so one assumes most likely yes.
Yeah, I was going to say that
it was donated to the university.
They donated some equipment or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
Yeah.
Absent says Epic is up to 64 cores and 128 threads per socket. That is
insane.
That's bonkers.
That is ridiculous.
But it's amazing. Look at we're entering into a new year. Are we still saying Moore's law is dead? I don't know.
Yeah,
we're not going to.
Let's not go into that conversation.
I'm sure that in a year, the websites that I go to will make it not appear any faster than it is this year. So
absolutely,
you're right. You're right. Nothing's getting faster.
Nothing's getting faster.
Slower.
It's just
Okay. Well, our next one is another free CA now exists at SSL.com. So if you're looking to an alternative to Let's Encrypt, there is now SSL.com, which basically states that Let's Encrypt is great. We love them, but having a single source of failure for over 3/4 of the world's secure internet processes seems like a really bad day for an outage. So they're having another one. Looks pretty neat too. Why not have two?
I think we've already got more than that.
Yeah.
I think this is possibly the fourth one now that's a major free CA. But I'm not complaining.
No.
More options is more options.
Now here's a question. I don't know how much y'all looked into this, but what is the window for these certs? How often?
I haven't read far enough into that to know how long they do them for.
Yeah.
Because doesn't Let's Encrypt now has quite a strict limit on it, right?
Yeah, yeah. You have that renewal. You're doing quite a bit.
It's like what, 90 days on Let's Encrypt?
Like that. Something like that.
Which, to be fair, I'm not complaining about. I actually think it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if you automate it, it's fine. But I have still run into people who don't automate it. So.
Well, the automation honestly has been like, one, I didn't learn about the Let's Encrypt system D task until I read the DigitalOcean tutorial. I always try to set up my own cron job, and doing it so rarely always messed it up and it never worked.
I'm reasonably sure that our original DigitalOcean tutorials just had the cron.
I think they did. That's probably where I learned how to do it.
Yeah, because I before I came to work here, I used to use DigitalOcean's tutorials to set up machines for my labs for my classes. So I remember setting those up, and I think we had to do a more recent revision to that when that feature came out, which is a very welcome feature.
It was very nice. And now we're done with the news. We're going to move on to Kahoot, as we're 45 minutes in and we're just now getting to true or false, which is great. I love it. So if you're not aware of this game, it is the game where I present my co-host with 10 statements that are either true or false. And you would think this would be easy, but it has never proved easy yet. Where they're going to answer. And this is an audience participatory game. So everyone log into kahoot.it and enter in the game pin that you see on the screen, 1075285. And if you win a Sammy sticker pack. And one of these days, for a Maybe on episode 50, who knows? Maybe I'll send out more than just stickers.
Wow.
Ooh, we have more swag. I have a whole mountain of swag. So join in at kahoot.it 107-5285 for a chance to win. And we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Kim, who, while we're waiting on everyone to join, will walk us through our word of the week. So Kim, take it away.
All right. Our word of the week this week, I'm going to wait for the overlay to pop up, is robots.txt. And so this is a file that you can set up that tells search engine crawlers which URLs the crawler can access on your site. In general, this is a way you can prevent your site from being overloaded with requests. But I'm reading some Google documentation. It is not a mechanism for keeping a web page out of Google. So now I'm looking at the robots.txt documentation.
I think Absinth's comment there, the most ignored file on the web.
Yep.
Oh, it's a crying Twitch.
I remember back in the day when you used to be able to put disallow in robots.txt and every robot would ignore your site. Those are the good days.
Those are the good days. Now you just change it to why even bother.txt.
All right, so I was not around in the good old days. So Brian, Mason, and/or Matt, tell us about robots.txt. Something we don't have to care about anymore.
Well, I think you still need to have it right because most bots still go there to look like sitemap references and stuff.
Yeah.
But bots are a bit less polite nowadays, and if you have a disallow directive in there, they might still decide to crawl you anyway.
Yeah, and a lot of times it becomes self-defeating. I've seen situations where the disallow is in there, but then there's a piece of content on your site that is allowed and that links to other stuff, and the bots will just crawl it anyway because, well, it's linked. You linked it. So
yeah,
I will say that I've written a couple of web crawlers and I didn't even know this file existed, so I ignored it.
Bad.
I learned something new. Now I will check for robots.txt whenever I'm crawling. And actually, one time I was crawling the DigitalOcean site, so it was crawling community for all the broken links. So
nice.
Oh my goodness.
So, well, that's robots.txt.
I should say, whilst we're here, Mason, if you didn't know about that, did you know that there's also HTTP headers for this as well, and meta tags that do the same thing?
Ooh, I didn't know that.
So an
did not know that.
Can go, I don't want to be indexed, or I don't want a crawler to follow links on my page.
Yep.
I did not know that.
No follow, no index, all kinds of wonderful fun stuff.
Fantastic.
Right. I just want to say one other thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's called the robots exclusion protocol. That's a very ignored protocol apparently, but I remember the first time I ran into a robots.txt file, just putzing around on the web, and I was like, what is this thing? So, all right.
Me too.
The more fun file though, which we can do a word of the week for in the future, is humans.txt.
Ooh.
Definitely have to do that one. But yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the game. So if you haven't joined in, it's your last chance to join in for a chance to win some Sammy stickers at kahoot.it with the pin 107-5285. If you come in late, you can still win. If everybody's doing really bad and you know all the answers, come in late because it's all about the number of right answers. But Matt, tell them the other thing you always say that I forget.
It's about speed, not just getting it right. So be fast in responding to an answer and a question. Did that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. So if you try to Google it, you may get the right answer, but you probably won't beat other people and you won't win. Oh, and I forgot to tell you this week's theme, which is video game history.
Oh no, I'm done. I'm done for.
I felt a little also shush Matt, shush. I felt a little bit bad about the cryptography one. So the Wii was the first Nintendo console to use optical discs. Is this true or false? Is the Wii the first Nintendo console to use optical discs? Oh wow, everyone got to that one really quick. That is false. The GameCube was the first console of Nintendo's to use optical discs. And yes, I think last week's was cryptography, and the week before that was also something equally as mean. So I decided to be a little bit kind this week with video games.
I'm glad that your conscience exists.
What, you didn't like talking about the RSA algorithm last week?
No, not at all.
it actually has been pretty fun because I'm like, ooh, what university topic can I scar Matt with this week? And, and I just started grad school, so you're about to get a whole lot. Operating systems coming soon.
All good.
So, the first game in which Mario was to appear was Super Mario Bros. Also, as you've noticed, I've upgraded to GIFs this week.
Oh, very good.
And
They are
they're all
pretty.
like actually on topic and correct. I like this.
Yeah, it took some time. This was false. The first game in which Mario officially appears is Donkey Kong. He was known as Jumpman in the old days, and Donkey Kong was the villain, and you had to jump over the barrels that were being thrown down. This game has a very significant part in video game history. It's the rebirth of the video game industry after Atari crashed the industry in the late 70s, early 80s. If you've never read Console Wars, it's a very large book, great audio book, very interesting, talks a lot about video game history. Clever Octopus, Royal Shark, and Tropical Squid, both getting them right, but Clever Octopus is the cleverest of them all. The Kingdom of Hearts is the main setting for the classic series, The Legend of Zelda. The Kingdom of Hearts is the main setting for the classical series, The Legend of Zelda.
These gifts are making me feel so nostalgic.
They're so good.
So good.
Toon Army Captain says his elementary kid knows this. Good. I'm glad. Means you're raising the kid right.
You're raising them. Yeah, raising them right.
This is false. It is the Kingdom of Hyrule is the main setting for The Legend of Zelda. Oh, Clever Octopus. What's up?
Before you go on, last week I think we showed it was back in my day, and we showed a picture of like the cartridge for Legend of Zelda, and Brooks told us about the battery pack in there. I've been thinking about that all week.
Yeah.
Nintendo was pretty innovative at the I mean, they're still innovative, I guess, but I love Nintendo. The first video game ever created was created in 1958.
Oh.
And I love how I'm also saying these, and I'm not even... okay, so this is true. I would also like to say I usually have notes with like, so I can read and I haven't had to read them because I know all this stuff by heart. The first video game ever created was created in 1958. It was not Pong, as you just saw in the GIF, however. It was the game called Tennis for Two. It was created by Dr. William Higginbotham while at the Brookhaven National Laboratory for an annual 3-day public exhibition for high school students and college students. The game was played on an oscilloscope and was designed to kind of like show interactivity. It did eventually become one of the inspirations for the video game Pong that came out later on the Atari. So so the game was Pong. Like it was what Pong is, but there is no running like there's no video of it ever running, so I did Pong and we got kind of close. Clever Octopus is doing great with 3,946 points and it's on a 4 streak, so let's see what we get. In Pac-Man, the pink ghost is named Clyde. In Pac-Man, the pink ghost is named Clyde.
Can you imagine trying to play Pac-Man at this speed?
Oh my gosh.
Champion Edition gets pretty fast, so
it's no different than Through the Fire and the Flames on Guitar Hero. So
there you go.
This is false. The pink ghost in Pac-Man is named Pinky. The orange ghost is Clyde.
Yep.
The red ghost is Blinky, and the blue ghost is Inky. And it's actually a really interesting feat because they're all different. They all have different ways of attacking you because each one of them is implemented as a different path traversal algorithm.
Yep.
It's a really...
That's how you learn Pac-Man. You learn the ghosts. You learn how the ghosts move.
Ah.
That's how you do it.
It's really cool.
Can't tell I didn't play video games growing up, and I have a Switch now, but I haven't played it since January.
Well, people are moving up, but it looks like we broke Clever Octopus's streak. So, next question. The best-selling video game console of all time is the PlayStation 2. Is the best-selling video game console of all time the PlayStation 2?
I can hear this GIF.
That's a very good quote.
It's also pretty interesting because this GIF, the PlayStation was before your time, Matt. PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
This is
So
true.
was most of this quiz.
Okay.
Shush, you're making Brian feel old.
Yes. I was here for all of these events except for the Pong one.
The best-selling video game console of all time is the PlayStation 2. It is still like just known as the best. The Wii is close. Toon Army Captain says thought it was the Wii. The Wii was close, but it's still the PS2.
Okay, so are we talking about numbers or units sold?
Units sold.
Okay.
It was still an iconic console.
Yeah.
The best-selling video game of all time is Tetris.
There's my game right there.
Where is it? I have my Switch Lite on my. Well, it's supposed to be on my desk. Oh, apparently it fell off my desk. And I play Tetris. I play Tetris 99 all the time on this. So, and I'm probably getting beat by old people like Brian who've been playing it for like 40 years, and because I never win. I never have won a Tetris 99 game.
I've won once.
It's hard. Those
usually
people
come
are
in the
so
top
good.
5.
Oh, I came in the top 3 the other day, and that was the highest I've ever been. Anywho, this is false. The best-selling video game of all time, as in units sold, is Minecraft.
Yeah.
It is over so many different consoles, and it's just such a cool game. Minecraft is the best-selling video game of all time. By a lot. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Tetris is second.
Yeah.
I'm definitely in last place.
Royal Shark came up, but Jolly Wallaby, I love that. These names are so great. I'm glad we switched over to the name generator. Has a 3 streak. So 8 out of 10. No, the best-selling gaming console of 2020 was the PS5. Was the best-selling gaming console of 2020 the PS5?
Does this include like pre-orders and not fulfilled orders?
That's
I do.
question.
It's a great question. I don't actually have an answer to that, but this was false. So this actually is really interesting. So you have to think this is the pandemic console.
Yeah.
So this console did not come out until November. So if they were, and nothing got fulfilled. So I don't know how they did it. But if you remember, the Nintendo Switch was sold out for 8 months. You could not get one. And that was the best-selling console of 2020. Mostly because as we were locked inside, we saw Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing returned. Everybody was able to return to their little farm and island. And it was a great way to spend 3. Honestly, it's like that game was like made for being stuck inside your house for a long period of time.
I bought an Animal Crossing Switch. Like it's got like the little raccoons on it, and it's Animal Crossing colored.
they make it. They have it. I didn't buy it. I have the Pokemon one. And also nice. I found out that they're making another Switch Lite that's also Pokemon themed, and I've bought every Pokemon themed Nintendo console since the DS. I don't want to talk about it. Nintendo
Don't ask me any questions.
They're gonna take your money, man.
They know. They know. There's literally someone at the office. They're like, "How do we get another $200 out of Mason? Print another console with a Pokemon printed on the back." The United States Air Force used nearly 2,000 PlayStation 3s to create a supercomputer.
I hope this is true.
The United States Air Force used nearly 2,000 PlayStation 3s to create a supercomputer, and this was true. The United States Air Force connected 1,760 PlayStation 3s to create a supercomputer known as the Condor Cluster, capable of performing 500 trillion floating point operations per second. So the interesting thing about this is that Condor is also the name of an open source software program that you can install on computers that basically creates a very large distributed network of supercomputer. I think it's probably the same software they used on this because when I worked at the university, we had it installed on all of our machines in all of our labs. So when there was nothing happening between those hours of 10 a.m. to 8 a.m., 10 p.m. to 8 a.m., middle of the night, they were able to offload some of their compute resources onto our just lab machines. And this to every machine in the university was all part of one giant network supercomputer.
Yeah, I would have gotten this wrong because like Toon Army Captain here, I was thinking it was the PS2 because I remember a whole bunch of supercomputer discussions around the PS2.
Did the PS2 have network capabilities?
Yes, it did.
Were they built in though, or was it an adapter?
Well, the one that I had an Ethernet port on it.
Interesting. Okay, but I imagine it would have been a 10100 port. They're so old.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that was there were export restrictions on them and everything because of that supercomputer clustering thing. But yeah, so I would have got it wrong for sure.
Absinthe knows my favorite piece of trivia, which is the PS3 runs BSD under the hood. It's a hybrid of NetBSD and FreeBSD, and I knew that and I love it, so it's great. Yeah. Makes me happy. Oh, Royal Shark. If you don't mess up and the next person gets, yeah, you're close. Let's go. I didn't know how to say that. Words hard. First character from a video game to have a balloon featured in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade was Pikachu. Was the first character from a video game to have a balloon featured in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I think I misspelled Macy's. Was Pikachu. For those of you that are not inside of the US, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is a parade that is done, I think, in New York every Thanksgiving. And it is where we have just giant balloons and stuff. This is false. This is another interesting part of video game history. The first character to ever have a balloon was Sonic.
Yeah. Hedgehog.
Again, Console Wars, the book. I'm not sponsoring anything, but I'm telling you, if you like video game history, the big fight between Nintendo and Sega in the early 90s is a fascinating story of marketing and everything. And this was their attempt to make Sonic over dominate Nintendo Mario, which they did for a brief amount of time.
There's this is funny. There's a podcast I listen to called 30-20-10 that does a bunch of this week in pop culture 30 years ago, 20 years ago, and 10 years ago, and they just covered the Sonic balloon on there about a couple months ago.
We should get a referral link for this book, Mason.
Yeah, I think you should.
You've brought it up so many times.
I like video game history. It's really fun. Okay, Toon Army Captain says there were Disney characters before that, which were also in video games. Video game exclusively to video game characters. We're not going to count Kingdom Hearts. So, just because you can say that, yeah. So, the Power Crab with 6 out of 10 with the 5400. Clever Octopus 6 out of 10. Oh, but who was this one again? 8 out of 10. Royal Shark.
Oh, wow.
Royal Shark, you win with 8 out of 10. So if you win, send me an email. And guess what I did this week? I actually wrote down the thing beforehand. So congratulations on winning. Send me an email to mason@digitalocean.com with a screenshot of your winning screen and your mailing address. Everything I need. Zip code. Everyone always forgets the zip code. So I can mail you your stickers. Okay. We're not going to argue about because Sonic has been on TV, Toon Army Captain. We're just gonna go with it, okay? This is what the history books say. So we are here with 8 out of 10 Royal Shark.
Andrew might be Royal Shark, and he's saying he's already won previously.
Okay,
we can still send you some more stickers if you want.
We can still send you some more stickers, or Clever Octopus if you are here. You can send. But number 2, also send it. Was Clever Octopus you, Brian? No. Okay, because I know it wasn't Matt and probably not Kim.
No, so. I didn't play.
Okay.
Definitely not me.
I do. Cool. Sometimes I reply to these armies, Toon Army Captain, your stuff is shipped. It's coming.
I reply to them. If
he won last week. No, I do most of the time, but I know him in person. So, like, it's an excuse. So, yes, your stickers are coming. I will email you back the tracking number. Because usually I order them and I don't get the tracking number for a couple of days, and sometimes I forget to respond. So I will send it. Gosh, everyone's just like, Mason, do your job. Okay.
Oh, I forgot about our next segment. I was like, all right, it's time for.
No, it's not.
We saw our
segment. We've moved pretty slowly this day, but that's fine. So our next segment is Old Man Yells at Cloud. It is time for more memes. These are memes. This is the section where we go through and we look at memes until we feel terrible about what we do and considering a career change. So.
Or until Com sends us a message telling us to stop and end the show.
Yes.
But, you know.
Yeah.
Yes. Hasn't happened yet, so we're doing good. And we're usually pretty good about checking our memes. So, first one. This is me in a nutshell. Because I absolutely loathe doing front-end development. In my mind, there is no lower form of hell for me. So, I need to learn it. That's probably why. I think CSS just scares me, to be honest.
Oh,
because I'm like,
love me some CSS, man.
Nope,
love it.
Because I've been victimized by, it needs to move 2 inches left. Let's just change it by a pixel. Other side of the screen. I've been victimized by that too many times. I'm like, nope. Obviously, this is run by witches. I'm not going to spend time doing this. So
Absinthe knows what's up.
Yeah.
Insert CSS is awesome image.
I'm glad that he's here. I'm the only one here that, yeah.
All right, so this one says the fastest things on Earth. There's a cheetah, airplane, speed of light, and then the time it takes to restart a crash loop back off pod while I try to debug it with Q-control logs.
Is that when you're just sitting there and you're like, just stay dead?
You're like, oh, then there's a previous flag where you can grab logs from a previous pod, but it goes fast.
Oh my goodness.
That controller loop is fast in Kubernetes.
Oh, I love this one. So also, there's a couple of PM jokes. Sorry if you're a PM, but you did this to you did this to yourself with you did this to yourself with your career choice. So
I like this one though, because it's a little person saying, "What's the estimate?" The other person says a month. Then what if we add one more engineer? Then it's 2 months, and then they make like a cute like, "Can you help me out?" face. And then what if we add a product manager? And they say, "Trust me, you don't want to know." I've experienced this in real life on engineering teams.
Oh yes, well. I mean, there's a really good book about it called The Phoenix Project, which is I think it's a novelization.
Yeah.
And it's the adding more people to a late project makes it later.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really good. It's actually an engineering novel. So if you want to read books, but you can't stomach reading technical guides, it's actually a really good one because it's written in like a prose.
Yes, if you'd like a good escape from your day job of writing software, read a novelization about writing software.
About people writing software.
Yes, it follows you everywhere. Absent says the second book, The Unicorn Project, is equally awesome and is written of the point of view of the software engineering team. Oh, I bet that's good. Is it nothing but swear words and table flips?
I have that one queued up in my Kindle, The Unicorn Project, so I'll have to give it a read.
I know what I'm getting with my next one. Okay, so I found a gift that I was gonna poke Matt in the soul with, and I found it right here. So,
for anyone that misses the joke here, this is what I here at work. So
it says it's the car drift meme where they could go straight and refactor a legacy system, but they decide to drift into creating a new microservice, and the car is any developer. So it happens.
I stand by the decision to replace our 6-year-old Rails monolith with a set of microservices. It's the right decision.
Yes, and you and Brian will have a long fight about this, and we'll
see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Oh, I haven't seen this one. This one's hilarious.
I have Kubernetes experience. It's a print or a knight on a horse, and then it's a horse head on a stick. So it's just with Minikube.
This one is totally. I love Shrek memes. Harsh, we see your angry face. Harsh doesn't seem happy. We probably responded to the PM comment.
Sorry, Harsh.
We don't mean you, Harsh. We love you. You're the best.
Oh yes, I love this one.
Oh, yes. I promise. It's kind of like how whenever I have to type in here, I promise I know how to type. I can do it. I've been doing it for a very long time.
I know this one hits me in the gut. Like,
this one just describes tech interviews. Is it?
Yeah.
Or yesterday I was giving a tech talk and like I lost my browser. I was like, "Where's my browser window? I can't find it."
Yep.
Oh my goodness. That happens. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen in a live demo. Little bit of old-timey recursive jokes never get old. Okay, they're always the same. It's the same exact joke every time with a different meme, and they never get old. So yes,
it's almost a meta recursive meme.
It is. It's recursive function. Hey, I've seen this one. My variable. What do you mean if you've seen it? It's brand new. And if you're unaware, this is Back to the Future. So, or is this? I don't remember which one.
What's Back to the Future?
Is it Back to the Future? It's not one of the sequels.
No.
Okay, I don't know. I've actually never seen those movies. So.
Oh.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh no. Anyway, so this one is an
Be a meme.
Yep.
yes. It's if false. Oh no.
No.
Else. Anyway.
Anyway.
I like that one.
Doing a hello world doesn't mean you can put it on your resume, and then it says that sign won't stop me because I can't read. It's a great Arthur comic one. Harsh, if you're still there, we've got more PM jokes coming, so don't be mad at us. Me, after sitting on mute for 59 minutes in a Zoom call to say nope, nothing for me.
Nothing for me.
What do you Tetris 99? It's a great way of spending time in meetings.
Oh boy.
This is one of the places where I advocate for having a second screen, so you can have your meeting on one screen and do your actual work on the other screen.
I do that sometimes. It just depends, but like sometimes you can tell that it's going to go into a tangent that doesn't affect you, and it's kind of like you're at that point you're almost like the parent sitting in the room, and like the children are playing around you, and you're listening for very specific audio cues, like dead silence from your children or the sound of someone's legs breaking. But the punching and fighting and screaming, that's normal. That's fine. We can let that go.
And then what happens is that you just hear your name suddenly, and you've got no clue what to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not advocating for not paying attention to your meetings, but
of course not.
It happens. Using Jira doesn't make you agile. This is one of my favorite memes. It's a King of the Hill meme. And then the principal's taking the sign down, and it says, if those project managers could read, they'd be very upset. This is one that I've had a fight with at every previous job that I've ever had, is that using Jira Jira does not make you agile. You have to actually abide by the agile process. So
technology will not solve people problems.
Nope, it does not. And that's a rule that a lot of people need to learn.
Yeah.
So
this is me.
Yes.
This is me doing. I could just do it manually in 30 minutes, but no. There needs to be a script for that.
Yeah,
It must be the most awesome script with multiple command line arguments, just in case it needs to be used in multiple ways. Yes, this is me.
It's hilarious because whenever I'm writing tools for myself, I always think about extendability in the future. Whenever I was writing code for someone else on the job, nope, hard code that in there. Who needs that variable? It's like I was more extensible with my own projects than ever before, and that's a joke. I think about it, but it's a funny joke. So yeah, this is also I kind of like this though because it gives you time to practice, and like that's something that Brian and I talk about a lot when we talk about education is meaningful practice. Yeah. So taking 6 hours to automate something that you could spend 30 minutes doing is a chance for you to practice your coding skills, and practice never hurts you ever. It's never hurted anyone. So never hurted anyone. Words. I don't speak English. How to regex. Open your favorite editor. Let your cat play on the keyboard. I almost said plat K. I cannot talk.
One of those days.
It is a hard day. Words are hard.
Words are hard.
But yes. So we used to have a game that we played at my first job. It was called regex or line noise. And you had to determine if the string was valid regex or line noise, and if you said it was regex, you had to tell me what it matched.
Yep.
And I was not very good at it, but this old sysadmin that I worked with could nail, or like he could look at regex from across the room and go, that matches this, and I'm like, you have superpowers. Matt, how does this one work?
Some days we don't let the builds move at all. We call those weekdays.
I put these in here because of all the things that Brian and I talk about, we both are insanely large fans of The Simpsons. And I know this exact episode, and it's great.
Yes.
And that is all we have for Old Man Yells at Cloud. It was a longer session this time, but I think it was worth it.
That was good.
Yeah. And as we're getting near to the end, that doesn't mean you leave. It means we're coming to the end. It's time to talk about what's on our mind. This is the Cloud Chats therapy session where we go around and just talk about all the things that are ignoring us. And for a change today, we're going to make Matt go first. So
Wow, what a change! I'm actually gonna share my
I was
screen.
ready, but it was a joke.
Give me a
it
sec.
was a joke.
Okay, so first things first. That
Zoom
regex
in,
point.
Matt.
There is this Twitter account called Vaguely Reassuring State Machines. Like 3 times
Okay,
a
what
day,
is
it
this?
posts a state machine of words, and the game is to reply to these reply to these tweets with a valid regex string that matches the state machine.
And people actually do this.
Yeah,
Matt,
yeah, people actually
Matt-
do this.
Matt, do you? Oh my gosh!
Oh wow.
How?
Yeah, it's a game. So if you ever want to get better at regex, this account's for you.
That sounds.
What's the
awful.
account called again? Vaguely.
So the Twitter handle is Happy Automata, where you can search vaguely reassuring state machines.
I'm so glad I didn't take theory of automata in my undergraduate courses.
But it's just like, even if you don't actually like participate in the tweets, it's just really, I don't know, funny to see these random state machines pop up in your timeline every few hours.
I bet it
they-
is.
They now have one extra follower, and that is me.
And then the other thing that's on my mind that I saw trending over the last few days is how I experienced webtoday.com.
It's so good.
Which is a journey. And we're going to go on this journey.
Let's
please.
go on this journey. I am loving it.
This is so good.
Currently, we're on a search page. No specific search engine here, but it's a search page.
It's Hooli, right?
Yeah, and we'll click on the thing. Took a while to load, you know. Oh, what?
Skeleton. Are these called skeleton loaders? Is that
No,
They
yeah.
are. Yeah.
proper?
Oh yeah.
But it seems you got some cookies. Well,
Oh, that one hurts. That one hurts my feelings.
Oh,
Also, that one.
oh,
Yep.
oh,
Oh my God.
oh,
Yep.
Oh boy.
my gosh.
Oh no.
Oh.
Who made this? I have a tremendous amount of
Wow.
respect for them.
This is art. This is art.
You know, the second saltiest place on earth is the Dead Sea, and the first place is this developer's mind.
Yep.
This is salty.
They've just had enough.
yeah. I don't know. It's a single page experience, but I thought it was just hilarious.
Oh, that
Absolutely
makes
wonderful.
that's great.
And very representative of real life.
It is. That's so. I know we've talked about it before about brave or not brave and liking it, but like literally, I stop all of this by going on and just disabling all JavaScript on the page. It is great. Like as soon as one of those comes up, I go, ha ha ha, not today. And I go over here and I click turn off scripts, and all of that disappears. And you'd be surprised how many people don't know how to properly gate their content.
I'm curious. What happens?
With what?
JavaScript off. We're
Oh,
just stuck with cookies forever.
That's also the current web.
Well, that
Content doesn't load if you've disabled JavaScript. That's also the current web. So I
Actually,
appreciate this
you-
website even more.
So a lot of them do. So it says scripts blocked, and like so if I ever want to read something from like and they have gated content, like very often I can turn off the scripts or like you're used 2 of your 3 free articles. No, I haven't. Click. Now I can read it. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So don't that goes to show don't use JavaScript front end as an authentication getting mechanism.
Nope, don't do it.
Doesn't work.
Don't do it.
But yeah,
Okay.
that's what's on my mind. Who should we go to? Kim, what's on your mind?
I've been thinking a lot about KubeCon North America 2021. It's October 10th through the 15th. But the reason I'm thinking about it a lot is that DigitalOcean is getting ready. We'll be having a virtual booth there. We're a sponsor of KubeCon. I'm giving a talk. Veronica Lopez from DigitalOcean is on a panel. She is also giving a talk. And we're just at the point in the timeline where all that stuff is coming due. So that is what's on my mind. KubeCon North America 2021 and all the things I need to do for it. So
You mentioned this before we went live, but next week is September, and October feels really quite close now, like scarily close.
yeah,
Isn't
it comes after September.
Isn't there something important happening in October? I keep forgetting.
Yeah, no idea.
No idea what it could possibly be.
Definitely not Hacktoberfest.
Any month-long events that happen in October.
Yeah, so it's a big time at DigitalOcean. October seems to be our big season. So
Yeah, we just put all of DevRel, the entire budget just goes into October and nothing else.
Yeah, I might take all of November off. So we'll see. Brian, what's on your mind?
So what's on my mind is writing and editing. So I recently just most of my time is spent either managing the team or doing some edits on content, and I do book editing as well. But I had the opportunity to write a piece last week, and I started working on it, and it became more clear. The separation between writing and editing is really important. I think that a mental shift is necessary, and one of the things that I was talking about with folks before the show is something that I've been talking with a lot of authors about recently, which is don't try to edit and write at the same time. A lot of folks will get consumed by how their content looks, how it's formatted, and working with grammar and spelling and things like that while they're writing, and it can break the flow for some people. So the next time you're writing something, write a lot. Just write and write and write, and then at a certain point, maybe you stop when you're no longer feeling the flow anymore, and then go back and reread it and do your editing passes. But trying to combine the two can cause you to lose motivation, can cause you to get a little bit scatterbrained. So I don't recommend it. I always recommend doing them as separate processes. And one of the things I mentioned here before we got on live was that my first book, I wrote about 900 pages for it, and it ended up getting contracted down to about 300 or less by the time we were all done. But I needed to write all those things. Because it's what led me to the final destination. It's where I decided, you know what, I wrote that, but it doesn't actually fit, but I needed to get that out to see if it fits, and it didn't, and we could scrap it. But I did it all, and then we went back and edited it and chopped things down and figured out where things go. So it's always good to try to keep that separation. And when you have tools like Grammarly or other tools that even like the spell checker and the grammar checker in Word or Google Docs that are running all your editing, I try to turn those off. I actually write in a little app called Drafts, a little Mac and iOS app called Drafts that does really nice syncing and has a bunch of workflows in it, but it doesn't do anything while I'm writing. I can just write, and it's very distraction free, and I very much like that. So that's what I've been thinking about, keeping that separation between writing and editing.
Yeah, so I think I'm in the same boat currently. Like, I'm at uni, writing my final uni project, and I've written, I think, 23,000 words in the write-up of my final project, and I'm now just starting to get to the point where I need to stop writing and start cutting down editing. I've got to get down to 8K, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh, we got a shout out for NaNoWriMo here from Absence 762. That's awesome. Yes, that is an amazing thing to get involved in. Write a novel in a month in November. I recommend doing that too.
Maybe that's what I'll do this November.
Yes, I can't even get the book that Brian wants me to write written. How am I going to write a novel in that much time?
Write about the hero's journey of somebody undertaking their first DevRel role. Could be like the Unicorn Project, but for DevRel people.
Yeah, we'll call it I don't know what we'll call it, but yes, good idea. Yeah. Mason, what's on your mind?
Oh, I decided to, I escaped and then I threw myself back in. I've always equated it to like I was pardoned by the governor and then I just threw myself back in the chair and I'm like, let's just do it again. Ride the lightning. I went back to grad school and this is my first week. Like I had started grad school in 2018. It's the online program through Georgia Tech, the online master's in computer science. It's actually brilliantly well done. It's that program alone is how I'm able to argue with everyone, including my family, that online education does work when done properly. Mm-hmm. But that when done properly is the absoluteness. Like you have to have that. You can't just take a class and make me sit for a 3-hour lecture.
Does not work.
Not work. When done properly, it's amazing. And I really like the program. Like the professors are awesome. The courses are great. It's hard. It's like going back to university. But it's very it's very fulfilling. And I want to be able to adjunct at local universities. I've been reached out to multiple times by different universities in the area that are like, do you have a master's? We'd love for you to adjunct. And I'm like, I don't. So I'm like, fine, I will happily spend a couple of $1,000s to be able to make $495 a year.
Yeah, I do it for the money.
I like teaching. I love teaching. I used to like when I was in college as an undergraduate, I taught undergraduate labs, and like I did like a little lecture and then would walk them through programming assignments as kind of like the practical part of their computer science thing. I loved it. I really want to teach. If I could make the same salary I make as in the tech space as a public high school teacher, I would do it in a heartbeat. You would not be able to stop me exiting. I love teaching. It probably comes from like the fact that, you know, I grew up in education. My mother was a teacher. My grandparents were educators. My great-grandparents were educators. People that grow up in academia tend to get trapped in it. So I really like it, but I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to structure my life around working a full-time job and taking 2 graduate courses at a top 10 computer science university, because they don't water this program down. It's still Georgia Tech. It's still a very tough one. And this is like my second or third time taking, like, I've always had to drop out like for the semester because work got too chaotic. So this is like my second or third time trying to take operating systems. And every time I get to you need to implement a multi-threaded web server with pthreads. And I'm like, nope, we'll try again next semester.
I got my master's degree is in education, but I got it when I was working full time, and that was a very hard time in my life. Yeah. Working full time, going to school full time, it is tough.
I'm thinking I'm going to talk with my manager and I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work 4/10s, and then I will be available 1 day a week as for meetings and stuff. But I'm going to spend a whole day of the week doing grad school, and then just work longer hours on the rest of the week to kind of compensate for it. I feel like that. One, I've always wanted to work 4/10s. I think 5/8s are dumb. Like, I would happily work 4/10s easily.
Mm-hmm. I'll work 4/8s.
I'll do that too. I'll happily work 4/8s, but like, well, 4/10s really helps. When you work 4/10s and everyone else works 4/8s or 5/8s, you get 2 hours of uninterrupted time.
You do,
that's solid.
And it's great.
Solid argument.
It's like my old coworker that I worked with at my last job used to get to work at 4:30 in the morning, and I was like, and he left by 2. And I was like, why? He goes, because I can work in peace.
Yeah.
That's the whole office versus work from home stuff. But
this is why I like being in the UK, because I can get up at like 12 still and still have a few hours to myself to do work before everyone starts putting meetings on my calendar.
That is nice.
Absinthe says cries in 6/12s. That sounds awful. I'm like, my dad sometimes has to work that, and I don't recommend 6/12s. My dad's a welder for a power company, so like,
yeah, sometimes it's not a choice.
Nope. So Sam says, love starting work at 5 a.m. I'm thinking I'm either going to start earlier or I'm going to go later. This goes back to the whole can I wake up at 6 a.m. conversation that we had earlier in the show. Mm-hmm. If I can, great. If I can't, it's not going to work. But I think I might do that. So that's what's been on my mind, is just I'm back in grad school. It's exciting, but it's also like once you're in industry and once you're making money, you're like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm not going to make any extra money. Like, I'm like, this is not in any way it's advancing my personal education, which I want, but it's not in any way advancing my career. So why am I doing it? And that's the fight that I constantly have with myself.
You know why it's going to enhance your career, because you're going to get that degree, then you're going to get into a position where you can adjunct, and that's going to make you a better DevRel person. It'll make you a better human. You're going to be in a situation where you'll have to work with and teach diverse groups of people. That's made me better. Having the ability to teach at an open enrollment school for a while, where there was no test scores that you needed to get in, anyone could come in and sit in my classes and either take them in a hybrid format or an online format. That opened my eyes to a lot, and it truly did make me a better person for going through that. So that's your end goal, man. There's your end goal.
Yay! I'm looking forward to that. So.
All right, let's wrap this baby up.
Yep.
We've got upcoming events.
What is
next week?
What is upcoming?
Next week,
September
Chris
1st?
Chris and Moises have a tech talk where they will be showing off new features and enhancements to DigitalOcean's app platform. So if you've been missing Chris, which I know some of you have been, he'll be back Wednesday, September 1st for a tech talk.
Yeah, there you go. I think with that, there is only one thing left.
And it's the joke of the day. Are we ready?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely
Okay.
not. Never, ever, but go for it.
Great. Here we go. Where do all the cool mice live? In their mouse pads.
I like the sound effect.
Thank you.
Oh,
for
sound effect just sells it.
That just sells it.
Yeah. And that's all we have time for today. We didn't even get a chuckle out of Matt. We got a very long exasperated sigh, which is what I go for.
That's a good aim to go for. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for Cloud Chats, and we'll see you again same time next week.
See you then.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.